we've got to first sell the bonds, which have not been sold, and any deal we make would be subject to selling those bonds. So you've got some time off, even though it must be pretty short.
The school district make an effort to study the efforts taking place in other parts of the country in the area of transportation of students. And also, we recommend that our committee felt that it was very unfair that just minority students were being bused on a one-way route.
If I had ruled myself, I don't think I would have even come to camp. I don't feel like I'm being fair to myself by coming to camp and just getting a paycheck and not being able to challenge someone. I have to have an incentive to play.
Well, you said last year that you analyzed what talent was in front of you and you felt you were equal to it.
I still feel that way. I just, like I said, I have a few obstacles to overcome, and if I can keep my head up through all of this, I think I'll come out okay.
Hey, hi, what's your name?
Anthony.
It's your first baseball game?
Yes.
You having a good time?
Yes.
Do you know which team is the Rangers?
Yes.
Which one?
One the white.
Would you like to come to another game?
Yes.
Where you go to school?
Irvin. Deborah.
Deborah who?
Right.
Where do you live?
Both.
You do?
Ask me.
All right. You liking the baseball game? Good. What's your name?
Deborah.
Oh, everybody's named Deborah. How about your name?
Demeter.
Hi.
I'm talking softly because number 43 will get mad if he hears this, but that helmet on his head covers a rapidly balding dome for Cliff Harris, the former free agent from Ouachita Baptist. Perhaps the loss of hair is reflected in his continuing battle for a starting spot in the defensive backfield with his good friend Charlie Waters. Thus far, Cliff has held the upper hand, but here in training camp for their third year, the two of them are at it again.
Well, good, we're, I think that, Charlie and I are still competing, that's tough always, the competition, but it's good, it's going to help both of us. This week, I think he and I both are going to be back there. He's going to be playing cornerback, and I'm going to be free safety. I've still got a lot to learn, and I plan to learn it.
We talked with Charlie a bit earlier, and he indicated that he's at that point now where he's beginning to feel a little like Tom Stinchick did, that if he doesn't start this year, he may ask to be traded. Have you entertained any thoughts along those lines?
No, not really. I can't see that, Charlie feels that way. I didn't know. I talked to him a few times about it. I feel like, they'll probably be playing together one of these days, and I think he thinks the same thing. And but if he feels, that way, that's all right too.
Well, of course, you have the advantage of being the starter right now, so those thoughts wouldn't come as quickly to you as they might to him.
No, that's right. He's got to beat me out, is the way I look at it, and I don't plan for that to happen. And it's his thoughts that way, and not mine.
Coaches are convinced that one day both 41 and 43 will start in the same defensive backfield for the Dallas Cowboys. But until such time as that comes through, they will wage their continuing battle for the starting spot at free safety. This is Verne Lundquist with the Cowboys from Thousand Oaks, California.
Houston touchdown with a flip to tight end Alvin Reed. Houston's other 2 touchdowns were the result of second effort.
Hit Jim Byrne for 41 yards. Pastorini moved the Oilers 78 yards in 91 seconds. He then began picking open the Charger defense, passing to double-aught Ken Burrow. "62 yards, spectacular." And Houston was hard in the ball game, needing only one other big play.
This is the only chess set of its kind in the entire world. The silver pieces that you see are 18-karat white gold. The gold pieces, 18-karat yellow gold. All total, 22 pounds of solid gold has gone into making this one-of-a-kind chess set. The board itself is of inlaid green and white jade. It was designed by Valentin Piaget, head designer of the world-famed Piaget watch company. He made it strictly as a hobby, and when he finished, he broke the molds, and this is the only one he ever made. The price, at Neiman Marcus in downtown Dallas, a paltry $165,000. It's not the kind of set that you would buy to see whether or not you'd like to learn how to play chess. Jerry Park for Channel 8 News on the Move.
Channel 8 News learned this today, that the Wilmer Hutchins Independent School District has, at the present time in its checking account, a round figure of $285,000, that they have certificates of deposit amounting to $200,000, and a very close income of some $79,000 expected before this year is out. That's a total of better than $560,000. The August bills amount to a round figure of $239,000. Subtract even the $112,000 they are laying out for new portable buildings at their 4 elementary schools in the northern part of the district, you still have a $213,000 carryover into the new school year. They could open the 2 elementaries closed by HEW, make the necessary improvements in sanitary and heating facilities, and still have a carryover of between $100,000 and $150,000. So these board members may have learned tonight that they can do what's expected of them and still have money in their checking account. At the Wilmer Hutchins Independent School District's Board of Directors meeting, this is Jim Mitchell, Channel 8 News on the Move.
That people think that what handicapped persons need is a lot of sympathy and understanding and comfort. What they need is respect. What they need is understanding of differences that interfere with their being able to write fast in some cases or to listen as quickly. So I'd say the number one obstacle is really knowing what things about a handicapped person make it hard for him to be in a regular school program and what things are absolutely irrelevant to them.
The real meeting, though, comes after that very brief agenda is finished and the doors are closed and the room is cleared and those board members get together to kind of shoot it out over the future of this school district. Although financial matters of a school district are, for the most part, public record, apparently some board members have not looked into the finances of this school district completely, because it appears they may find out in that closed meeting tonight that this school district is far more solvent than they thought, that this school district can afford to make the improvements in its elementary schools, can afford to reopen those 2 elementaries closed by HEW, and still go into the new school year with a carryover. We have found that cash on hand in checking accounts and certificates of deposits amounts to more than $550,000. Even after paying bills and buying portable buildings, they have a carryover of more than $200,000, fully adequate for the problems at hand. In the Wilmer-Hutchins Independent School District, this is Jim Mitchell, Channel 8 News on the Move.
Charlie Waters came west 3 years ago to put on number 41 as a third-round draft choice of the Dallas Cowboys. Once here, he ran into number 43, a free agent from Ouachita Baptist, Cliff Harris. And now, for the 3rd straight year, they are battling for a starting spot in the defensive backfield. Thus far, Cliff Harris has held the upper hand, and Charlie Waters is getting frustrated.
You bet. Sure is. And when we go into this All-Star game, it's even going to be worse because Coach Lander decided to start the guys that played in the Super Bowl and not even give really, the other veterans much of a chance to play. He's really wanting to win the game, So the competition doesn't start until after the All-Star game.
Oh, is that right? He'll, in terms of individual battles, you really don't get down to it until you get back next week.
Right. That's the way I interpret it anyway.
Is there any chance, or have you given any thought to taking the action that Tom Stinchick did? After 3 years, he's not starting and he wants to go somewhere else.
Well, Verne, I tell you, and I kind of started thinking about it when Tom left, because he's been through 3 years. I saw him tell Dede Lewis. He said, "Dede, I'm never going to be like you." And I went up to Tom the other day and I said, "Tom, I tell you, I don't think I'll ever be able to be like you. Wait around 3 years and not get to play, and thinking maybe that someday you could play for somebody else, And it's crossed my mind. I think after this year, if there's not a good chance, or I know I'm going to start or something, I'll probably ask to get traded, just out of personal pride, because you just can't sit on the bench for 2 years like I had, if I sit on the bench again this year. I've got to consider something like that just to prove to myself that I could play,
Throughout their 3-year conflict, numbers 41 and 43 have remained close friends. We'll get Cliff Harris's thoughts on this continuing battle tonight at 10. This is Verne Lundquist, Channel 8 Sports with the Cowboys in Thousand Oaks, California.
Well, in the beginning, that was my problem. I didn't really take charge. I figured the guys had more experience than I had. They knew a little more about it, knew how to pitch to hitters better and what type of pitch they wanted to use in a certain situation. But we're getting along. We're working out all right. I'm learning quick. They're learning how I like to call a game, and I'm learning their best pitches, how they like to pitch. All in all, it hasn't been any problem so far.
You spoke to me about coming up to the majors kind of early this year. You came up last year, but you came up right at the end of the season.
Yeah, right. The last month of the year, the major league teams expand their roster by 5 or 6 men, and they always bring up young prospects and give them a chance just to get their feet wet, introduce them to the league and everything. And I only was in 2 ball games last year. But this year, I started off real well, and there was a lot of talk that they were going to bring me up if I kept hitting. I was hitting, and then I went in a little slump, and then there was talk I was going to come up when Texas came to Denver. We had an exhibition game. But then that never materialized, and I kind of resigned the idea that I was going to be brought up until last month again, like last year. But then, about 10 days ago, the call came for Mason, Ragland, and myself. It really surprised me a lot. I'm just glad to be here.
Home on the Range. Now there's a song that's weaved itself into the fabric of American life. Records and sheet music sales range in the tens of millions. The man who wrote Home on the Range lives in Dallas now, in a little house on a quiet street. He's 79-year-old David Guyan, and he wrote Home on the Range back in 1907 after spending a pretty good chunk of his boyhood out under the Texas stars with real live cowboys on a ranch in Ballinger. Mr. Guyan says the Old West isn't quite as wild as today's movies and dime store novels would lead us to believe.
But most of the cowboys in my day were from well-to-do families. And some of the families out there that owned ranches were very wealthy. And their sons naturally lived on the ranch and did a lot of the rounding up and branding and everything else that was supposed to be done on ranches. That's the type of cowboy that I knew. Oh, occasionally there was a shooting, and but it wasn't anything like that you see over the movies, nothing like it at all.
Mr. Guyan asked us in to see his piano, where he's written more than 200 songs of every size, shape, and variety. He says he likes most of today's music. The only thing he can't stand is for somebody to jazz up Home on the Range.
Oh, give me a home where the buffalo roam, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Home, home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Oh, give me a land where the bright diamond sand flows leisurely down the stream, where the graceful white swan goes gliding along like a maid in a heavenly dream. Then I would not exchange my home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Oh, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day.
Coming in. That's right there. That's right. Looking right at him. That's good shape. Look at him, Charlie. Look at him right there. Pretty good shape. Three, set. Look at him. Look at him. Look at him. Right there. Bring it on in there. Looking at him, Charlie. Okay, come on, pretty good shape right there, okay. Way to recover. Pretty good shape. Okay. Hey, stay. Good and fast.
Well, I guess I never heard it played quite like that. For Channel 8 News on the Move, this is Arch Campbell.
Looking at it, looking at it. Round the ball.